Hello,
Thank-
girl. Welcome.
Hello.
I'm so excited to be having you on the podcast in our little series of it's called Patient Files. So I'm excited to get started. We'll start off with just introducing you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, I don't know, what you do, where you live, just some good nuggets.
Okay, so I'm Mesa Ramos, and I am from Waxahachie, Texas. So we're south of Dallas. Lived here all my life. I am a mom of three kids that are 14, 10, and 6. My husband is a first responder, so he's fire, police, and paramedic, which is a whole lifestyle in and of itself, with him gone quite a bit. I am a hairstylist by day and then do health coaching on Instagram. So I've been in health and wellness for the last 13 years. Um, there is a lot. There's
Yeah.
a lot.
Yes. So what was, because you have been in health coaching for a while. So what
Mhm.
was your first desire, I guess, to get into just, I don't know, focusing or having a passion for it?
So, let's see, really, I mean, I always tell people I'm very, very open book. And so whenever I decided to turn my life around, I was smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, living on Red Bulls,
Stop.
a hairstylist. Yes. Hairstylist. Jeff and I both, my husband and I, we, had our family very quickly after we started dating, and we were very young. I was 22. And so it was just a very chaotic life. When Ellie, our daughter, was 2 years old, my husband was diagnosed with cancer. He got a cancer diagnosis. That was kind of one of those things that just turned the tide. I went to Austin to see one of my best friends and kind of just had this epiphany. And we had already started a little bit trying to get healthier, with the diagnosis. But then I just came home and I was like, I'm going all in. And so that was kind of what made me start learning. And so over the course of the last however many years that's been, I've done everything,
Yeah.
literally every trend you can I've seen it. I love to, you know how it is whenever something
Yeah.
comes your way and you hear, I'm like, I'm gonna not only research it but also try things out myself. And so really just finding that sweet spot. It was probably 2017. I had been helping people with health and wellness through sales of supplements. But that was really not aligning with what I believed to be
Yeah.
about how food can heal our bodies. So in 2017, that's when I went to the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute. That's when
Cool.
I really loved Dr. Sears and just the way that he um, promoted just an overall lifestyle. It wasn't a fad diet thing. It's not, it's just like food as medicine, but is also not fear mongering, what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Oh my
So that's
gosh.
really
Yeah.
what got me into it. Yeah. And I mean, ever since then, but seeing how our lives have changed, me having ADD, using food as medicine for that, our kids, just
Yeah.
super passionate about it.
Yeah. 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 Oh my gosh. That's so funny. The fear mongering is real. I'm sure it has changed. I'm sure it wasn't even as bad. It's worse now. I'm sure it wasn't
Yeah.
as bad back in the day. And now it's just I can see where people are confused in
Yeah.
general because it's okay, this person says this is bad. And then this person says it's fine. Some person says
Yes.
it's moderation. And it's just I don't know. It's just freaking confusing.
Yeah, and it's like, where
I
are
get
you
it.
in your journey? Where are you at in your journey? Because
Yeah.
I was allowed to do everything that I've done over the course of the last few years. So just love to smile and say, this is somebody else's journey and they're going to figure it out. There's more fear mongering, I feel like now versus back then. There was a lot of lack of knowledge and just fads. So it was more about oh, just do this to lose weight and nothing else really matters. We're not thinking about gut health and all the things you and I both love.
Yeah, for sure. And so what brought you to need to do testing with me? Symptoms, how were you feeling? What was happening? Give people some behind the scenes there.
Okay, so for, 10, 11 years, I have lived such a healthy life. And then when I say that, people say I'm relatively healthy. I mean, no hormone issues, no issues in it, like literally anything. And then all of a sudden, so I worked from home from my phone, but then in 2019, I went back to the salon to do hair, which
Okay.
is, that's a lot. So over the course of those years, I mean, I was okay, but it was around, I don't know if you remember me texting you in March of 2022 about thinking, I think I have a parasite. I think that I've got something
Yeah.
going on. I had this crazy It was like a rash in my skin, but I would just have so many different symptoms built up over the year, right? So by the fall, just fast forwarding to the fall of 2022, I was having, I would go to work. So I would wake up and I knew how to eat, right? Like, so I'm eating well, didn't matter what I ate. I would go to work, and I would, no matter about an hour and a half after I'd eat, I would get sick. I'd have to pause what I was doing, go inside. I would get sick, throw up, go back outside to
Mm.
finish my client. And then I would get hot flashes. I would be sweating. I thought I was going to pass out several times. It was very similar to when I used to be hypoglycemic. Um, it didn't matter what I ate. I felt awful all the time. And after that, I would be like bedridden the rest of the day. Super brain fog. I
Yeah, it
mean,
wears you
y-
down.
you name it, I basically had it. But those were the things that were very severe that I could not control it. And the worst part, I've never had anxiety. I've never been a person that has had anxiety. I could not control my fight or flight responses. So my children would walk in the room and boom, they say mom, and I'm immediately in fight or flight, like I'm running from a bear. And that was so sad to me because I couldn't, it's just, I couldn't be with my kids, or do
Yeah.
anything really. So it was very debilitating.
Oh, for sure. And I feel like people don't really realize how debilitating it is until like you have those symptoms. I feel like it's just my personality. I can be anxious because I'm like, oh, I want all the control possible, which I know like God like laughs at me because he's like,
Yeah.
like you have no control. But I
Yeah.
like to think that I have control. And so whenever there's something, which is why I like traveling, experiences that like I truly don't have control, like I can get a little anxious, but it like is all consuming for sure. And so people just don't
Yeah.
realize it if they don't really struggle with it. So I feel like I can like be in your shoes and like, oh my gosh, I totally get that. I feel like you know, if you had all the things going on, I get it. And so what made you, I don't know, because you texted me and you had like an inkling of like what you thought it was. And so like I don't know, what made you think of that first? Like parasites. And I think you even brought up like toxins and stuff. And I know we like kept talking about it, but was
Yes.
there anything in your journey that was like, okay, I should check this out because I feel like it might be this.
Okay, so I watched one of my best friends who lived 4 houses down from us deal with mold.
Okay.
It was debilitating for her. So she had already done it, the testing, knew that she had parasites, mold, all these things. So I already knew in the back of my mind, that what could be possible. I had already been doing like castor oil packs, and I had already been doing, so many different things. But yeah, I had a feeling that we had mold in the house, which of course, all the family members, anybody who knew me was like, no, you're crazy. Like you're literally going insane. They thought I was bananas in pajamas, which I
Because
get
your
it.
house is also new. I want to put that into like perspective. It's like newer.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay. So it's not
it's
like a
set,
1980s house.
no, we built this 7 years ago, right? But knowing that my best friend built her home 4 houses down and they had mold, it was bad within the first 2 years.
Mm,
And we had this stuff that would drip out of the side of the house. Like it was like orange. My husband would say, oh, it's just rust. It's not, anything. And I'm like, no, it's not that, and I just knew and I could feel it in my gut. I was like, something's up, whatever.
yeah.
So
Love that
that's whenever
intuition.
yes, because I was like, you know what? If I get I'm gonna have we gotta test me, because if I can test myself and prove that like and if I'd already set myself up thinking it's gonna come back and I'm just clear and like I have lost my mind, like I was ready for that too,
But
because
we
I
do
was
this
like,
to prove the husbands. Let's be honest.
yes,
Like they
we
need
do.
it.
Yes, yes. And I just knew I didn't want to go anywhere else but, with you, because I've known you for years before this. We have done things together and I've just known
Yeah.
your integrity and how you work with people. And so I was like, it's my girl. So,
Yeah. Oh, I love you.
yeah.
Yes, I think it's funny that like men, and obviously not every single male, but men tend to just like, oh, it's this, it's whatever. My husband does the same thing. And even when we bought this house, I was like, I'm gonna get like a mold person in. And he's just like, well, why? Like, you don't have to. It's like you would see it. I'm like, no, you wouldn't. And so it's just funny that we have to like do these things to kind of prove to them, like, hey, no, something's like literally off. Like it's not in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're just like
Yeah.
in denial with some of those things.
Yes, absolutely.
I love that. And so where it was in your main house or was it also in your hair salon? Because you kind of have like a little bit mini building, I guess, outside your
Yeah.
house where you do work.
So, well, actually, well, you and I started, okay, we did my testing. It was like at the end of the year, like around January 1st, and we got my testing back in February, right? So I was 6 weeks into my healing with you before we found the mold.
Oh,
So I was already 6 weeks in on, so I don't know if you want to go back to that. Cause like when we got the
yeah.
testing back, so you and I, we chose to do the toxin trio. So we tested mold, heavy metals, environmental toxins, and then we did the gut health test,
Yes.
right? So I already knew. I was sitting here going, okay, here's the thing. I eat healthy, right? For anybody who already eats very well and you're like, okay, yeah, well, it didn't matter because guess what? When your nervous system is dysregulated and you're stressed to the max and you don't get I mean, literally you
Full
can't
of
get out of it.
toxins. I'm just kidding.
I had gut infections. Okay. So the gut infections, I don't know if you remember, my body wasn't digesting proteins,
Mhm.
fats, or carbohydrates. So it did not matter. I wasn't even absorbing any of the nutrients that I was getting. Right.
Yeah.
So we
And
had
I will
the
sit
like
here
this.
and attest, you were truly eating good. Like I know
Yeah.
actually most people that come to us will say like I'm eating healthy or whatever, and we go into like in the details like actually like you're not eating that
Yeah.
good. Like you're eating to what you know, but like you're definitely not eating as good as you think you are. But you truly were eating
Truly.
healthy. Like I can fully like 100% attest
Yes.
to that.
Like protein, fats,
Yes.
fiber, like all my
Yes.
things. And then I would get sick and it would be one way or the other. I was like, my food is not digesting. And then the testing proved it. Then we had high levels of the four different kinds of mold. And then we had heavy metals. I had arsenic, which all the things. And then definitely a parasite actually did show up on my testing, which I was like so expecting it not to, since they usually don't, you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
And
Not
whenever it
with
showed
every
up,
stool.
I was like, yes, knew it. I freaking knew it. So I was like,
Validation.
so when people were like, I'm so sorry that all of that showed up, I was like, I'm not. I'm excited because I knew it. Like it feels so good to be like
Yeah.
validation, right? And then it told me, exactly what was going on in my gut, right? So I started on my gut reset protocol with you. That first week, I felt incredible. Like just that first week alone, some people, I don't know how everyone else reacts to what you do with
Yeah.
them, and I know it's different for everyone, but with my gut reset protocol, whenever I looked at that first week, I was excited because this is my jam. I love food. I love whole food, and just having that plan, it gave me so much peace. So I was doing that first week, my blood sugar felt really good. I knew it. And I had already had it in my mind. I was not going to stop for at least 9 months in. I was never going to even like look up. I was just going to trust the process and everything. So 6 weeks into my protocol with you, is when it was randomly one day. I don't know why I said, hey, Jeff, will you just go look at our AC unit? Just go look at it because it looks like maybe there's some water leakage on the ceiling or whatever, my son's room. And he went up there and he sent me a video and he was like, no, it's completely dry. There's nothing up here. And I was like, well, gosh, maybe I am bananas. Like, well, 9 days later, um, I get off work. It was the sickest day. It was March 24th. It was the sickest day that I had had in my studio doing hair. It was so bad I couldn't even speak to my client because I was going to be sick. And so I came inside that afternoon. I heard like a thud, thud. And I look in my office and it was like raining in my office. Okay. So long story short, we go up there and it is Jeff didn't know how to open the panel of the inside of the AC unit, which is where all of this black mold, this algae mold had been accumulating for years, which actually the mold eats through your metal pan in your AC unit. And so it finally had eaten through a metal pan. It had been doing this for about 3 years. So what are the
Wow.
odds that 9 days after I had him go up there and I'm going through all of this, do we see we've been breathing in this mold?
So
And I was like,
how long? So
that was
when do you feel like it started like the mold, even if you didn't
20,
know? And then
even I feel like I know that it had been accumulating all of that for probably at least a year before I ever actually really truly felt it.
okay.
Um, and then so all of us had completely different symptoms. So my boys would have really bad cough. They would cough like if they were home for
Okay.
spring break or Christmas or whatever. Jeff had a horrible cough. Ellie, coincidentally, her room is the only one that doesn't never really get good air. And she didn't really have symptoms and she's in her room a lot. So I thought that was kind of crazy. He had behavior issues, but also in his room, we found last October where there was a leak in the window and it had been raining and we don't know how long that was there, but all the paint was chipped off, all that. So that was an area you couldn't even see mold.
Wow.
But where I would be triggered, I would go to lay him down at night and I would immediately have like watery eyes and itchy nose and things like that. Yeah, it was bad.
Interesting.
So,
Do you
yeah.
feel like the testing was helpful in like, because anyone can look at their house, but like, do you feel like the testing was helpful in like helping you target or know where to hyper focus? Because that's like how I explain like the environmental toxins and mold, because they're like, well, I can kind of assess that without the test. But I feel like even when I did my environmental toxin test, and I'm pretty like natural too, I've honestly cleaned up majority, like 99% of like the things that we use. But when I did it, it was so helpful to see like, okay, what is actually leaving my body, and like hyper focusing on like, okay, where is this chemical? Where is this? And I don't know, to me, that was so helpful because there's hundreds and thousands that it's sometimes hard to really assess when I'm like, oh, there's thousands of them out there. I don't know. Do you feel like it helped you like narrow in like what you needed to focus on?
Oh, well, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, like I looked at like doing the ERMI and all the things around here, but I want to know what's affecting me. I'm
Yeah.
the one that feels bad, right? I'm the one who is like literally feeling bedridden. So having that, I wanted to test myself. It was way better because I could have done the ERMI test wrong. I didn't know how to get up in
Mm.
the attic. We could have not possibly known or caught everything. It's not foolproof. And so I wanted to see what was actually affecting me, if that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, what if it what if I didn't catch it? I mean, there's so many different ways to test for mold in the house. So yeah, there's just
Yeah.
and there are still places. So we still haven't done mold testing like things in our house. Okay. So we found the places and like we have personally like remediated what we've got and done things, right? There's still more. I mean, every home is going to have mold, right?
Yeah.
In some capacity. How is it affecting us? But I can tell you because I feel amazing. I can tell. I'm like a mold detector now. Like I can tell when I go in someplace. You know what I mean?
That's me
Um,
and dust. Like I can tell if you like haven't cleaned your house because I'm allergic, but I can totally like walk in a room and I'm like, you need to
yes,
dust your house.
there are so many times because I'm not a good duster. Like it's not fun to me, so I struggle to like want to do things that aren't fun. But I'm totally like earlier I was cleaning and I was like, I'm such a boss. And then 2 seconds later, I'm sneezing. I was like, no, like I should have
That's so
never
funny.
even
That should be your new career. You are like a mold intuitive. So like you can just walk into a house and be like, you have mold.
triggered. I know it's how it feels, but I'm so grateful because honestly, what I've learned, because not only I got the week before we found the mold, I'd also been diagnosed with Hashimoto's. The fall
Mm.
before, I did get the hypothyroidism. But and it doesn't make sense. Like your body just doesn't start attacking itself for no reason.
Right.
And then learning and understanding that mold triggers Hashimoto's, mold turns off your immune system, mold turns, off the ability to digest food, and it's literally taking it over. And then
Yeah.
it makes room for the parasites who feed off of it. And it's like, I just wish this was more mainstream
Yeah.
because I sound like a weirdo talking about this to people who don't know. I'm not the weird one, okay? Because look, my life this year, I don't know, has it been 9 months? Like we started in
Yeah.
February,
Yeah.
whatever month this is, I feel so good.
Yeah.
So,
I know. It is so funny. It is like the weird is actually like the norm. And same with food. It's like the weird is eating healthy and the
mhm.
norm is like not. And it's so weird to me. Like
Backwards. Yeah.
backwards.
Yeah, like my daughter had a friend who was talking to her about the food we have in our house because she follows my Instagram. And she's just like, so y'all don't have any normal food in your house? Like no Pop Tarts or and I was
Yes.
like, and so I'm just going, and I feel like we're a really good balance, of things, but it just
Teens.
cracks me up. Yeah.
My son's friends do the same thing. They're like, he has this one friend and he's hilarious because he says it in like a joking way, but he'll have candy and he'd be like, "Is this cancer, Miss Lahana?" I cannot. But I'm like, I mean, I'm just kidding. But it's just funny that they are like, oh, are these like the healthy pretzels, like, or whatever? They're
Yeah.
just like gluten-free pretzels. I mean, even them are still processed, but it's like,
Yeah.
y'all are so funny because again, we've normalized such processed food that like real food is just I don't even my family is like, there's no food in the house. I'm like, oh, there's plenty of food in the
Yeah.
house, y'all, but it's just you need to cook it.
Yep,
It's
that's it. And
food.
that's one of those things that it's just kind of like, I want to put the positivity back in that. Like the word
Yeah.
healthy, I feel like has such a negative connotation. And I'm like, no, this is actually cooler. Okay. And it's really
Yes.
delicious. Like my food is
Yeah.
freaking good. So,
I feel like
you
we're moving
know,
in the right direction though, right? Because like now we see like, I don't know, like matchas are cool. Like that's the thing. So I feel like we are moving in the right direction, which is nice.
I'm with
Um,
you.
what symptoms do you feel like that has improved that has just been so nice just to feel better and
I can just take a deep breath and just be back to I feel like I'm back to myself. So one of the first things that I celebrated, because so the whole journey, week one, I celebrated that my tummy felt good. I was never hungry on my gut reset protocol or anything like that. I felt amazing. So week one, it was shortly after, excuse me, that I remember my kids started like they would walk into the room and I didn't go into fight or flight. I
nice.
was not like raging anymore. I did not feel completely burnt out in everything. And I did start, I mean, I made big changes to even my work schedule in the salon because I do own my own studio. And I made big changes like working less and I'm going to be working even less in 2024. So I have had like a whole year and a half plan, the things that I can look forward to for my overall healing. But so being able to keep food down. I have not been sick since March 24th.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Yes. That's like
so
my
it's so good.
puking's like my nightmare. So like when you told me
I
that, I'm like,
hate it.
I feel for
I
you.
know it was so bad. It was so bad, and I couldn't control it. And that was the thing. So I celebrated my nervous system regulation. I celebrated my not being sick. You know, I can still be in stress. We can still have like we have a very hectic lifestyle. Like I said, I mean, there are times where we'll go, you know, a whole month, and my husband's maybe really here on like 2 or 3 days. And so I've got 3 kids. You know how it is, and it is a full life, but I am able to handle stress better, right?
Yeah.
So like stress is going to happen in our lives anyway. And I feel like a lot of times, like we just get so comfortable in that dysregulation that we don't think that it can be fixed. We think like there's no way to fix it. But honestly, just those getting rid of, and then, granted, we are going to test again. To be
Yeah.
fair, I have had this issue, you know, with my head.
Oh my
I've even
gosh.
had to
Yes.
I've even had to go on antibiotics, which this could have been a deal with my hormones and mold. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to get my testing done again to see where we are because even a year after, once we retest again, I already have it in my heart that I am never going to be discouraged. I'm going to only be excited because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I feel so good. I
Yeah.
did not think I sleep amazing. I mean, just
Yeah.
everything. It's been such
Yeah.
a blessing.
Yeah, I know. I love retesting too because we've done retests, especially with toxins, where they'll retest like 8 months later or a year, and some things can still be like out of range. But when you compare it to like what it used to be, it's still less. And because there's
Yeah.
no like special timeline, especially with mold, but even things like parasites and like even dysbiosis and stuff, because it's so multifactorial and there's so many different like moving parts to it. Like there's no like, oh, you do a parasite protocol for 2 months, you're good. Like that's not
Right.
I had to do I had to do 3 rounds of parasite stuff when I tested positive for a parasite, when typically like I would say on average is maybe like 2 rounds, but like I had to do three personally because I just
Yeah.
need that extra round. So there's no like special timeline. Oh, do detox for mold for 6 months, you're good. Like it's not always the case. And so
You don't know how long it's going to take.
yeah. So it's nice that like you're in it for the long haul and like no matter what,
Yeah.
like you're feeling better and I know I
Yeah.
can't wait to retest. So,
Yeah.
where can people find you if people want to connect with you? Especially on your healthy stuff. I'm sure
Okay.
Instagram, social media, all the fun.
Yes. So I have my Instagram is where I usually am. I love to help in DMs, like, and just even I feel like a lot of times, you know, I'm talking about food over there, I'm talking about kids, I'm talking about all the things. Healthy mess, it's a healthy dot mess with an underscore. It's my newer one that I've had to start over. And then My website is healthymess.co. Um, and then, I mean, I'm on TikTok, just Healthy Mess, but really Instagram is my favorite. So
Yes. Oh my gosh. TikTok. I love that you're on there. And I love that you're also, we've talked about this, like redoing it, like just your Instagram, which kind of has downfalls, but I don't know,
yeah.
there's something so like refreshing of just like starting over in that sense. And I've always been tempted to do it myself because it's just like, I don't know, people that you connected with like years ago. And I don't know.
Yes. It's
I love that you're
crazy
doing it.
because well, so I had built my other, Instagram for 6 years and it's ebbed and flow, but now like starting completely over, I'm super excited. Not only just for like I feel like when things happen to you, even with my husband's cancer diagnosis in 2011, we always said that was a blessing that gave us so much perspective
Yeah.
on our life in general. And so whenever I look at this past year, and I'm so grateful for you for all of your help, that I don't look at any of this, I've been saying, as a setback, but rather a stepping stone. And just every hardship that we have in life, for me, I love to be able to encourage people on their journey wherever they are. So that's what I look forward to do on the Instagram. And so I'm excited for that to grow.
Yay. Well, I'm excited that we had you on and then people got to
Thank you.
know your story. So I appreciate you and yeah, see you guys next week.
I'll see you soon. Bye, girl.